What's that about? Puff don't do that shit. To make a long story longer, Tracy Waples, she outside in a Benz like, Meth, come on, get in the car. I'm like, what the f? I'm not making a connection here. And I'm like, oh, that's Puff car. There ain't no way I'm getting in that motherfucking car. No f***ing way.
It's finally coming out. Method Man is breaking his silence about a conversation he had with Tupac, just weeks before Pac was killed. And from what Meth is now revealing, it sounds like Pac was trying to warning him about Diddy, and about how the music industry was being controlled from behind the scenes, in ways that most artists back then didn't even understand. But here's the thing. This wasn't some random rumor. Pac and Method Man actually had a real relationship. They had just worked together on Got My Mind Made Up, released in 1996, just months before Pac's death. And even during the height of the East Coast-West Coast drama, Pac would tell people, Meth was one of the few East Coast artists he actually trusted.
Even though, I ain't got no beef with Puff. You get him one-on-one, Puff is the coolest motherfucker on the planet. But Puffy, P. Diddy, Showtime, baby. And I don't blame him, because he got to live up to the persona,
Now, in one of the last conversations between them, Pac allegedly told Meth to be careful, especially around certain people. And yes, Diddy's name was mentioned. Method Man didn't spill every detail in the interview, but he did share one chilling moment. How one night Diddy tried to get him to leave a party with him.
I remember sitting up in one of the booths. You know how House of Blues is set up. I'm sitting in one, and this is the pre-Soul Train party, so I'm sitting up in one of the booths. I'm in there and just tension. It just felt weird. And I remember seeing Puff come through. That's where it started for me at. And Puff had like 5 bodyguards with him. And this is like one of the only times Puff ever stopped to speak to me. So, I felt a little uneasy. Like, what the f was that about? Puff don't do that shit. To make a long story longer, Tracy Waples, she outside in a Benz like, Meth, come on, get in the car. I'm like, what the f? I'm not making a connection here. And I'm like, oh, that's Puff car. Like Puffy car. There ain't no way I'm getting in that motherfucking car. No way. Even though, I ain't got no beef with Puff. Puffy the man, Sean, or whatever and shit. You get him.
Meth said the vibe felt off, so he turned the ride down. Looking back now, with everything we know about Diddy's behind-the-scenes behavior, Meth says he and Pac weren't paranoid. They had every reason to be cautious. To really understand why Pac trusted Method Man enough to warn him, you have to know who Meth was in that era. While most artists got sucked into the East versus West Coast beef, Method Man managed to stay neutral. He had respect on both coasts. He worked with Biggie and Diddy, but he also had real love for Pac. He wasn't trying to play both sides, he just wanted to rap and avoid the fake industry politics. And that's why Pac could speak freely to him, because he knew Meth wasn't part of the game. So what exactly happened? In an interview that's now making rounds again, Method Man describes the night he met both Pac and Diddy on the same night. It was at a party in LA. Pac pulled Meth aside, brought up the Wu-Tang chain situation that had just happened in Vegas, and told him point blank, if I had been there, that wouldn't have gone down. As Pac was saying this, Suge Knight was standing right behind him, glaring at Method Man. Pac had this intense look on his face, the same look you see in the last photos of him before he died. Meth says after that, his head was spinning. He couldn't even process what Pac was saying anymore. The energy in the room had shifted. It felt dangerous.
So do you think Puffy was involved in the shooting?
I believe so. I do believe so. I have proved things that I could say that will back up my claim, but this is not for the world to know about. You know what I mean? It's between me and him, and only he knows. So every time he say it didn't happen, or that's the only thing that makes this become an issue to everybody. If you're gonna act like you a gangster or a G or the king of New York, I'm gonna expect that. And when you don't come through, then I'm gonna want to crush your empire. And that's what it's time for.
Fast forward to today, with all the disturbing allegations coming out about Diddy, fans are now realizing just how deep this could have gone. And if you really listen to some of Method Man's past lyrics, he may have been dropping warnings for years. In his verse on Suspect Chin Music, Meth raps, "Ninjas is funny, hustle backwards. Son, I think they gay rappers." At the time, maybe people brushed it off. But in the light of everything that's surfacing now, it's starting to sound like Meth saw the signs and was speaking in code. But what about Tupac? What was he really trying to warn Method Man about? According to those close to Pac, and if you piece together what he said in interviews, this wasn't just about rap beef. Pac believed Diddy wasn't just a rival. He was helping to rig the entire system. Pac saw shady contracts, weird parties, backdoor deals. He didn't want artists like Meth to fall for the fake image being sold. And it gets even darker. In Pac's infamous 1996 Vibe interview, he called out how powerful men in the industry were getting protected even while committing serious crimes. Meanwhile, Pac was getting locked up over what he insisted were false charges. Pac may not have said Diddy's name directly, but if you read between the lines, it was clear who he meant. Even Suge Knight hinted at it later. In an interview, Suge said that Pac suspected certain closeted industry men might eventually harm young people. And that was one reason Pac felt the need to call them out. In Suge's words, Pac was smart. He studied the facts. He wouldn't call someone out unless he had the receipts. And this may explain why Pac became such a target. Remember, the FBI followed Pac for years. They infiltrated the Panthers. They collected over 4,000 pages on Pac, but only released about 100 of them, heavily redacted. Meanwhile, Diddy, who's now facing multiple lawsuits and horrifying allegations, was protected. Not investigated. Protected. Pac saw it. He tried to expose it. And many now believe that's what made him so dangerous. So when Method Man tells this story now, fans are realizing he might have had a lucky escape that night. If he had gotten in that car with Diddy, who knows what might have happened?